So, welcome to the next edition of the Rare Business Podcast. With me today, I have Geraldine McBride, who is CEO of MyWave. If you remember, I talked to Geraldine about a year ago about her new application in the CMR, the Customer Managed Relationship space. So, I was very pleased to be able to catch up with Geraldine at a recent conference called Growth Through Trust that was run by the Control Shift Consultancy Group to see how they've been getting on over the last year. Geraldine, it's been a year. Over a year. How have you been? What's happening?
Been a very busy year, Adrian. So we've basically taken customers live in that year. Mm-hmm. So last year we were still busy doing prototypes and working with different industries, and now we've actually got product live out in market. The platform's complete, and we've got real live consumers using our technology. So it's very exciting.
Excellent. And I heard that you've raised more money, and I guess you were getting sort of closer. Tell me, is I think the environment, well, maybe ask that as a question. Has the environment, and there's been all sorts of news around data and privacy breaches and all that sort of stuff, has that helped your case? Or helped the kind of business and almost advance the sort of the conversation about the need and the desire for something like kind of a MyWave?
Yes, I think that what happened was that 2 years ago, or almost 3 years ago, when we actually started with MyWave, the market was still nascent, very young, and it's matured very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm very glad.
Well, we know there's something there, but we're not quite sure what it is.
Exactly, and now but we are sort of very much still sitting on the wave, so we're surfing that wave of change. I think that enterprise brands, we're working with many more early adopters. In New Zealand, Australia, and also now the UK. Yeah. What's interesting about the UK as well is that it's a digitally very advanced nation, and the government is actively participating in this whole notion of how do you unlock productivity in the economy and value in the economy from the right sharing of data.
Sure.
And so a lot of the conversations at this conference today have been around personal data stores, personal data lockers, which is very much to me almost yesterday's conversation.
Right.
Big data is probably a very old conversation, yet some organisations are still talking about their big data initiatives, and that's so yesteryear. So I think
it is in this conference's context.
Absolutely. So I think that where it's shifting to is end-to-end outcomes and end-to-end services, and so you can start to sort of see some of that shifting.
Sure.
And you saw that in some of the talks today, where you're using big data and living little data.
Yeah.
And getting these new sort of outcomes for people, and you're starting to see ecosystem language coming up.
Yes.
And also the government in the EU legislation around PSD2, the payments data.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the unlocking of the data silos. It's going to be the sharing of payments data between those silos, and then also transparency and permission back to consumers. So I think that those things start to open up very interesting opportunities. So we're working with leading banks, leading retailers, leading fourth-party energy companies, really actively participating in enabling that change.
So what is it you think because there's two things that make me think about that. One is that there are, I think people are just getting their heads around how, if you like, data and privacy is almost like another segmentation vector when it comes to consumer understanding. And there's the people that care, and the people that are active, and the people that are passive, and people that don't care, and so on and so forth. And people have talked about, was it Professor Weston's kind of characterizations of three different groups? Was it the fundamentalists, pragmatists, and the other one? I can't remember which of them. Anyway, the three different. I'm not really sure that they fit, because I think there's more than that. But so, given that, what's the thing that's kind of holding back some of these, some of the more rapid adoption of these type of solutions to this type of problem? Is this emerging awareness? Because we know that governments are conscious of it. It's in the news. There's solutions that are around. Is it that the technology is not ready, or the companies are not ready? And if the company's not ready, why? What's holding them back?
No, I don't think there is a holding back. I think we're at the tipping point.
Okay.
So if you look at a bell-shaped curve,
yeah,
you end up with early adopters, and then you go mainstream, and then you have laggards.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the world at the moment is at a point where there are a lot of early adopters in this space, and we're working with a number of those companies. And I think that we're probably we're entering into mainstream. The fact that you've got 300 people at this event today starts to show, and it's probably the most the largest attended PIE event here that they've ever had.
Yes.
You look at the brands, 55 brands that are represented. They are the brands that are the pillars of Britain.
Sure.
And in some instances, the European Union as well. If you just look at the nations represented here. So I think that we are at a point where the consumer is very savvy and very aware of the power of their information and what it is that they're trying to get done. And I think that I think I said this on the stage today, if brands don't actually figure out how to do it, they won't be in business a decade from now.
Oh, I think that's clear. I'm a little bit personally, I'm a little bit skeptical about kind of how much consumers are aware, in inverted commas, of kind of the power of the data, or how much data is collected sort of on them, and so on and so forth. I think there are some, and that's a growing sort of segment. Personally, I also kind of think that we're potentially in a transitional sort of generation, as it were. So if I think about my mother and father, and they sort of know about that, but they sort of don't really know, and I don't know if they really want to know.
Yeah, but I think that we've got to change the language, because I think this whole thing about data, it's almost like saying, well, is it about data, or is it about making my life easier so I get outcomes that I'm looking for?
Sure, no, that's a fair point.
So I think that the data is consequence. Yeah. It's actually not the thing. So again, you listen to a lot of the talks today. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, I've got my personal data store. I've got my personal data locker." It's like it's the notion of data is like my money box, and I stick it in my drawer and I keep it safe. But that's actually not usefulness. What you need to do is you need to free up data, all right, and start to then look at outcomes. And that's why I gave some examples today. Where it's help me save money on my energy bill.
Yes.
That's an outcome.
Well,
help me get the car that I want. Help me get the home that I want. And a mortgage will be part of that conversation, but it isn't the outcome. And of course, there's a lot of data that comes in underneath that. So make it easy. Don't ask me the same question twice. Yeah. Auto-fill the form out for me. Why do I have to fill out the form even though I've been with you as a bank for 20 years? Yeah, these are the types of things where you just make my life easy. And this is where the world is shifting to. Okay. So, the data is a consequence. It's not the thing. So I think we still think of data very mechanistically. Yes. And I find that quite amusing today, just listening to some of the companies that are still sitting in what I would say is a paradigm that was very prevalent, say, 2 to 3 years ago. But I think the conversation with brands now is moving, because those brands don't want to let that data out and make it free. They're looking to get outcomes for themselves. So you've got to then look at mutual value. How does the brand get an outcome that's good for them, which means more sales, or cost to service lower? Which is interesting, because I was speaking to somebody earlier on, and I was saying to them, I said that one of the challenges that seems to be missing from the conversation that I've been hearing in the conferences, that, and this is something that I sort of explore continually, is what is the relationship that brands have with their customers, and what sort of relationships do customers want to have with kind of brands? And it's almost like that's the bit, and then everything else is, and like you say, what are the outcomes the customer wants, and everything else is a bit of a sideshow or an enabler of that. But exactly, they're components. Because data becomes it's not a thing of itself. No. It's a subset of kind of. It's an outcome. So every time I go about my life, there's a thing called the digital exhaust. All right, as I'm puttering around my life, this digital exhaust of my location, wherever I've been today, what did I consume today, how much energy did I use today, where did my car go, all of this is data. But unless you can then contextualize that and make use out of it with me being in control, and this is the other interesting thing, so there's a rise of all the intelligent assistants. Since we last spoke in the year, everyone now has an intelligent assistant. It's amazing. But what's interesting is that you've then got to say, well, who's the intelligent assistant working for? That's true. Are they working for Facebook in order to be able to sell you more ads? Facebook's called M, and then there's Google Now, and then Siri, and are they working for Google in order to serve you up? Yeah, exactly. And so we have a contention that your personal assistant needs to be working for you, which means that the personal assistant Frank, he's in your home with you to help you get the things done that you need, and that's your data, and you're in control, and you can share that data. If you want to share it with social sign-in to Facebook, you can. Yeah. If you want to share it with other brands, you can, and in fact, brands may share more data also with you. So you've got this beautiful mutual value equation going, and that's really what the personal data economy is all about. And in the UK, that's like how you unlock value. Sure. So you did mention that there was some of the work that you were doing, and there's another, actually, one of your early
adopter clients, as I guess, is Save a Watt is in New Zealand, which is also coming to the UK at some point, kind of in 2016.
Yep. Correct.
So tell me, because that's a really great example of contextually kind of how it works, as it were.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Save a Watt sort of like story, because that's
it's very exciting.
Cool
So they are an energy fourth party. So they are there working with the consumer. And when they came to us, they've been in business for 7 or 8 years already, doing helping small medium businesses save money on power.
Yeah, they're like a broker.
They were like a broker.
Yeah.
And the small medium business was so happy with the service. They said, "God, could you do this for consumers?" And then they looked at the economics, and it really wasn't economically feasible to employ human beings to do that. So they came to us and they said, "Look, we want to use Frank to help people save money on power." So we used all of the principles of the personal information economy. So there's a consumer side. So effectively, it's a two-sided market. Consumer, their energy bill. So if you look at the UK, and the UK is a really good example. So it's being launched in the UK. We're busy getting it set up for the UK. So you've got a QR code already.
Is that going to come with Save a Watt, or is that with another unidentified party at this moment?
It shall be coming with Save a Watt and a major player, a UK player.
Very good.
So
watch the space.
Watch the space, definitely. Come and talk to me in a few months' time. So what's interesting about Frank is that the consumer has Frank, and so Frank asks you, "Would you like to save money on power?" Of course, the consumer says yes, and presses a green go button. It's very simple.
How do they get the information from their bills? So you said something earlier.
The QR code. So effectively, the QR code is there on the bill. So you take a photo of your QR code. All your energy consumption data is all there.
Okay.
Frank can then put that into his little brain, and then he says, I can get you on a better plan. Would you like a better price? And then Frank will be able to then compare that to the plans that he has.
Yeah.
Those plans come from the energy retailers. And he's able to automatically switch you. So you don't have to do any work ever again on switching to the right energy plan or the right energy price.
Is that not a race to the bottom for kind of the retailers? Or?
No. Well, what we do is we work with the retailers. So there's one of two ways that we could have built this two-sided market. One of them was to drive the retailers out of business, which of course would be a silly thing.
I was going to say that.
I don't think the regulator wouldn't like that. The government wouldn't like that. There has to be an economic model. It has to be win-win. But what we do is it's a level playing field, and it's completely audited as well, so that it's the same price, all right, for all energy retailers. So it's not like the old switching websites whereby they did not have an even playing field. And so from that perspective, it's an even playing field with all the retailers able to participate, but it drives down the cost for them to serve.
Right.
So it drives down the cost for the energy retailer to actually put out real-time confidential market offers.
So it's almost like
promotions.
looking at their financials and going, well, actually, take all that bit there. If you recycle it back into here, because we lower your acquisition cost, but if you focus more on the retention, then it's like that's how the economics can work.
Correct, exactly. Because
they're going to waste a huge amount of money on the whole acquisition side of things.
That's right, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So does that mean that... Can we come back and talk to each other in a few months, and you can give me the lowdown on kind of who you're kind of launching with?
Absolutely.
That'd be cool.
And they have tens of millions of customers.
Okay, and from a customer perspective, is it that because if you think about the Save a Watt and the sort of thing, I mean, on the recruitment side of things, is it really made so easy by you just scan the QR code and then all the data kind of comes in? Is that
and all that data is in your personal cloud.
Okay.
So the energy company would then send all of your energy bills to your personal cloud.
Right, okay.
So then Frank is continually then monitoring and on an ongoing basis able to monitor your energy usage.
Okay.
And then, let's say mother-in-law moves in and so she's at home during the day, suddenly your profile's changed.
Okay.
There could be a better plan. Or an energy company might have excess capacity in a certain geography of the UK. And so what they would want to do is that they would want to then acquire 1,200 more customers. You can't get a lower cost way of acquiring customers than that. So what ends up happening is that you end up getting best plan and best price for that. And it's a much lower cost way. As I said, you don't need door knockers, you don't need, billboard advertising.
Sure.
The traditional methods, or those annoying phone calls at 6 o'clock at night that, when you're trying to cook dinner. Can I talk to you about energy? It's like, no, not really.
But I guess it should also not just be always about price, and that some people might turn around and say, well, actually, I want to be a bit more conscious about what my energy mix is.
Correct, and this goes into preferences around green energy. Do you have solar panels on your roof? Do you want to be self-generating? So there are all sorts of other energy conversations that you can start to have.
Okay.
And then, of course, once you're doing it for energy, well, then why wouldn't you do it for your mobile? Why wouldn't you do it for broadband? All of the other commoditized services that are actually coming into your home.
Sure.
This is where you can actually start to create these new moments of mutual value. But you can apply it to anything. It could be, as I said in the talk today, it could be I'm looking for a new cool pair of running
travel,
shoes.
Bank,
travel,
insurance,
etc. In fact,
whatever.
travel is really exciting to me because there's so much friction in travel. Think about how many websites you've got to jump onto to get anything done in travel. It's a nightmare.
Sure.
Imagine now that because all of the travel services are all linked with APIs anyway. Imagine now putting an intelligent assistant across the travel. Frank, get me a ticket from Boston to New York. Frank, I'm actually going to London now. Book me into my favourite hotel. Frank will just say, well, is it your usual?
Sure.
Yes, I want the room, on the 4th floor facing the church because it's quite street, So it's those types of things that you can do.
Excellent. So, given that we're in the green room and people seem to want to come in and have their lunch, I think it might be about time to wrap up. But is there anything that else that we should know about My Wave and sort of developments in the next sort of 6 months? I know you're coming to the UK, and we'll look forward, look out for that and sort of announcements around that. But is there anything that you think we've missed that you'd like to say? Check this out.
Well, you know what? I think that we're very proud of the new website we've created. So
I saw some of your videos. They're quite cool. I'll make sure they kind of get linked up.
So the website is showing a lot of the work that we've done. I'm very excited. We've got some really amazing workshops that we've just been running around Frank and Travel. Another one around Frank to help the farmer. Really interesting, around the whole farming ecosystem.
Okay.
Really, really interesting one. And cool.
That's fascinating.
Another one is home energy management. Manage my energy in the home, solar panels on the roof. So it's a whole home automation side. Obviously, we've got Frank and Banking. We're doing a very cool one in Australia around completely reimagining the whole real estate industry, how I actually buy and sell homes, how do I decorate my home, how do I finance and mortgage my home.
Right.
So we're doing some amazing projects. We're very excited. And then coming to the UK is my
There's an automotive one as well. There's a car one as well.
Yes, that's right, correct.
Is that just new cars or is it...
New and used cars. Yeah. So we're very excited to come to the UK. We just launched in the States as well. And we've got some interesting conversations going on there. So, we've just this year's been our global world tour, and we're very pleased to have new clients coming up in many places.
I'm really pleased to hear your progress. I'm really glad to meet you face to face after having a conversation that spanned 8,000 miles or something,
Yes, that's right.
about a year ago. Great to hear your news, and I look forward to hearing more about what happens next. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian. Lovely to see you again.